The call came at 3 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. Ethan's school. My 10-year-old son had collapsed during gym class. An ambulance was on the way. I was told to meet them at the hospital. I left work without explanation, driving with my hazards on, praying through every red light. By the time I reached the emergency room, they had already run tests. The doctor pulled me aside with results that made my stomach drop. Appendicitis, but not the routine kind. His appendix had ruptured. Sepsis was setting in. They needed to operate immediately, and the next 48 hours would be critical. I stood in the pre-op area, holding Ethan's hand while they prepped him. He was scared. I was terrified. The anesthesiologist explained the risks. The surgeon explained the complications. I signed forms with shaking hands. "Mom?" Ethan's voice was small. "Am I going to die?" "No, baby. You're going to be fine. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere." They wheeled him away at 4:30. I watched the doors swing closed and felt utterly alone. I pulled out my phone and opened the family group chat. My parents, my 2 sisters, my brother. The people who've been at every birthday, every holiday, every family gathering for the past 10 years. I typed Ethan's in emergency surgery. Ruptured appendix. Sepsis. They said the next 48 hours are critical. Please come. I'm at Memorial Hospital, room 4 surgical waiting area. I need you. I hit send and waited. My phone showed the message was read within minutes. All 5 of them had seen it. Nobody responded. I waited 30 minutes. Then I called my mother. It went to voicemail. I called my dad. Voicemail. I called my sister Lauren. She texted back. Can't make it tonight. Have plans. Let me know how it goes. Plans. My son was fighting for his life, and she had plans. I called my other sister Michelle. No answer. I called my brother James. He texted. Stuck at work. Crazy deadline. Hope he's okay. Hope he's okay, like it was a cold, like it was a scraped knee. The surgery took 4 hours. I sat alone in the waiting room, watching other families gather around their loved ones. Groups of people bringing coffee, offering comfort, taking turns sitting vigil. I sat by myself. At 8:30, the surgeon came out. The surgery had gone well, but Ethan was critically ill. The infection had spread more than they'd hoped. He was in the pediatric ICU, touch and go for the next 2 days. I followed the nurse to the ICU. Ethan lay unconscious, tubes and monitors everywhere. His face was pale. His breathing was assisted by machines. I pulled a chair next to his bed and took his small hand in mine. That's where I stayed for 2 weeks. The ICU allowed me to sleep in the room. I left only to use the bathroom or grab food from the cafeteria. I was there when he woke up confused and in pain. There when his fever spiked to 104. There when he cried because his stomach hurt. There when he asked why nobody else came to visit. They're busy, honey, but I'm here. I'll always be here. My phone stayed mostly silent. A few thinking of you texts, nothing substantial. Nobody offered to bring me a change of clothes. Nobody asked what I needed. Nobody came to spell me for even an hour so I could go home and shower. On day 5, Ethan turned a corner. His fever broke. His infection markers started dropping. The doctors began talking about moving him out of the ICU. On day 8, they moved him to a regular pediatric room. He could eat soft foods. He could sit up. He could smile weakly when I read to him. On day 12, they said he could go home in a few days if he continued improving. I had been at the hospital for 12 days straight. I'd missed a week and a half of work. I'd slept in a chair, eaten cafeteria food, and worn the same 3 outfits I kept in my car's emergency bag. I'd done it all alone. On day 14, as I sat watching Ethan play a quiet game on his tablet, my phone started ringing. My mother. I declined the call. She called again. Declined. My father called. Declined. Lauren called. Michelle called. James called. Within an hour, I had 85 missed calls. Then the text started. Mom, honey, we need you now. It's urgent. Please call back. Dad, call your mother. This is serious. Lauren, why aren't you answering? We have a family emergency. Michelle, Mom is freaking out. You need to respond. James, this isn't funny. Pick up the phone. I turned my phone to silent and focused on Ethan. Whatever they wanted could wait. 3 days later, Ethan was discharged. We went home. He was weak but healing. I set him up on the couch with pillows, blankets, and his favorite movies, made him soup, gave him his antibiotics, helped him to the bathroom. My phone had accumulated over 100 messages and calls. On the third evening after discharge, while Ethan slept soundly in his own bed for the first time in over 2 weeks, I finally listened to the voicemails. Mom's voice, increasingly frantic across multiple messages. The mortgage payment bounced. The bank is calling. They're saying the automatic payment was canceled. I don't understand. Please call me. We're going to lose the house. Dad, your mother is beside herself. We need to talk about the house payment. Call us back immediately. Lauren, my car got repossessed this morning. They said the loan payment stopped. What's happening? I need help. Michelle, the hospital called. They're threatening to cancel Mom's chemo treatments because the payments aren't going through. This is life and death. Call me back. James, my business account is frozen. The bank says my loan is in default. I don't understand. You need to call me back now. I sat on my couch, listening to message after message, and the pieces started fitting together. 5 years ago, after my divorce settlement, I'd invested wisely, tech stocks that had done very well. I'd built a comfortable financial cushion while working full-time as a data analyst. My parents had retirement income but struggled with their mortgage after Dad's hours were cut. I'd quietly started making their mortgage payments, $800 a month. I told them it was temporary, just to help them get stable. 5 years later, I was still paying. Lauren had terrible credit from her 20s. When she needed a car for work, no one would finance her. I co-signed, then quietly took over the payments when she kept being late, $350 a month. Michelle's husband lost his job when Mom was diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago. Mom's chemo wasn't fully covered by insurance, so I'd been paying the difference, $600 a month for 2 years. James had started a consulting business and needed startup capital. I guaranteed his business loan. When he was chronically late with payments, I covered them to protect my credit, $400 a month. I'd been paying $2,150 a month for 5 years to keep my family afloat. Not once had any of them thanked me. Not once had they asked if I could afford it. They just accepted it as normal, as their due. And when my son was dying, not one of them could find 2 hours to sit with me in a hospital waiting room. I'd set up all the payments as automatic transfers, scheduled to go out on the 15th of each month. When Ethan went into surgery on the 8th, I called my bank from the hospital cafeteria on day 3. Once I knew he would survive but was still processing their absence, I canceled every automatic transfer, every single one. The payments that should have gone out on the 15th never happened. Now 17 days later, my family was experiencing the consequences. I called my mother back. She answered on the first ring. Oh, thank God, honey. I don't know what happened. The mortgage payment didn't go through. The bank is threatening foreclosure. We need you to. I canceled it, I said calmly. Silence. Then, what? I canceled the automatic payment. I've been paying your mortgage for 5 years. $800 a month. $48,000 total. I canceled it. You can't just cancel it. We'll lose the house. I texted you when Ethan was in emergency surgery. When he had sepsis. When the doctors said he might die. I begged you to come. You said you had plans. That was Lauren. I had that book club thing. I couldn't just cancel. Your grandson was dying. I was alone in a hospital for 2 weeks. Nobody came. Nobody helped. Nobody even called to check on him. But now you have an urgent need, and suddenly I'm supposed to drop everything. That's different. This is our home, and Ethan is my child. He was in the ICU for 8 days. You couldn't spare 2 hours, not 2 hours out of 5 years of mortgage payments I've made for you. I heard my father in the background. What's she saying? Mom spoke away from the phone. She canceled the mortgage payment. She's been paying it for 5 years. I continued. I also canceled Lauren's car payment, Michelle's cancer treatment payments, and James's business loan coverage. All of it, effective the day Ethan went into surgery. You can't do this. Michelle needs those treatments. Michelle couldn't come to the hospital to sit with me while her nephew fought for his life. She couldn't take a few hours off work. But now she needs me immediately? She has a job. People have responsibilities. I have a job too. I took 2 weeks off without pay to save my son's life, alone, while also being everyone's financial support system, without any of you acknowledging it, appreciating it, or showing up when I needed support for once. My father took the phone. Now you listen here. We're family. Family helps each other. You're right, Dad. Family helps each other. I've been helping for 5 years, $2,150 a month. That's over $128,000 in total. When I needed help, I got 85 missed calls about your mortgage, Lauren's car, Michelle's treatments, and James's business. Not one person called to ask how Ethan was doing. He's fine now, isn't he? The words hung in the air. He's fine now, like that made it okay. Yes, Dad, he's fine, because I was there. Every minute, every scary moment, every fever spike, every painful recovery step. Me, alone, where were you? We all have lives. We can't just drop everything. I did. I dropped everything. My job, my sleep, my life, for 2 weeks, and now you want me to drop everything again to fix your financial problems. Problems that exist because I've been subsidizing all of you while you took it for granted. I hung up. The calls didn't stop. Each family member called separately, then together, then in different combinations. The messages ranged from angry to pleading to guilt-tripping. Lauren, I need my car for work. You're ruining my life. Me? Via text. I needed my family when my son was dying. You had plans. Michelle, Mom could die without her treatments. How can you be so cruel? Me? Ethan could have died. You were too busy to come to the hospital. Not one visit in 2 weeks. James, my business will collapse. I'll lose everything. Me? I was losing my child, and you were stuck at work with a deadline. Your business loan is your problem now. They tried rallying other relatives. My aunt called. Your mother is beside herself. This is extreme, over one missed hospital visit. It wasn't one visit. It was 2 weeks, 17 days, 238 hours in the hospital. Not one person came. Not for 2 hours. Not for 30 minutes. Not at all. They didn't know it was that serious. I said he was critical. I said sepsis. I said emergency surgery. How much more serious does it need to be? She had no answer. A week after my phone call with my parents, my mother showed up at my house. I watched through the window as she knocked. I didn't answer. She left an envelope taped to my door. Inside was a check for $800 and a note. For this month's mortgage. We'll figure out how to pay it ourselves from now on. I'm sorry we didn't come to the hospital. I thought you were exaggerating. I thought kids bounce back. I didn't realize. I didn't cash the check. Ethan recovered fully over the next month. He went back to school. His energy returned, his scar healed. Sometimes he asked why Grandma and Grandpa didn't visit anymore, why his aunts and uncle didn't come around. Sometimes people show you who they really are, I told him, and you have to believe them. My parents sold their house 3 months later and moved to a smaller condo they could afford on their retirement income. Lauren bought a less expensive used car and picked up a second job. Michelle and her husband arranged a payment plan with the hospital, and his new job's insurance covered more of the treatments. James's business downsized, and he took on a partner who provided capital. They all survived. They figured it out, without me. And I learned something I should have learned years ago. Being needed and being valued are not the same thing. My family needed my money. They didn't value my presence. When I needed presence, they were too busy. When they needed money, I was expected to drop everything. 6 months after Ethan's surgery, my mother called, not about money, just to ask how we were doing. How Ethan was healing, if we'd like to come to Sunday dinner. I said no. Maybe someday I'll say yes. When enough time has passed, when the memory of sitting alone in the ICU has faded enough to make room for forgiveness. But not yet. For now, I pay my own bills. I take care of my son. I show up for the people who show up for me. And I sleep well at night knowing that when my child needed me most, I was there. I can't say the same for the people who raised me, the ones I helped for 5 years, who couldn't spare 2 hours when it mattered most. They taught me an expensive lesson, $128,000 expensive. But at least I learned it. Some lessons are worth the price.